So in chapters 2G and 2H, we will be working with the concept of ratios. You'll learn to simplify a ratio, to divide a quantity of an amount in a specific ratio, and to solve problems with ratios. You need to know what a ratio is. So a ratio is a part-to-part comparison. So if we look at this situation here, we have 5 gentlemen, and we have 6 ladies. In a ratio, we're comparing a part to another part. So the ratio of boys to girls is 5 to 6, or you can also write it as 5 to 6. So ratio, you're just comparing a part to a part. Now, if I were to ask you what is the fraction of boys in the whole group, you would write 5 out of 11, or for girls, 6 out of 11. However, these right here are fractions, and as a reminder, fractions are part to whole relationships. But one thing to note that's quite important is you need to listen and read what the problem says. Right now I'm saying boys to girls. If I reversed it and I said, tell me the ratio of girls to boys, then you'd actually have to rearrange the numbers. You'd have to write down 6 to 5. So whenever you read word problems or look at the situations, you need to read them very carefully so that you know how to write your ratio clearly. So first we need to simplify a ratio. And simplifying ratios, it's just like working with fractions. So in this case, for example, in letter A, write these ratios in their simplest form, 3 pounds to 15 pounds. Well, if you think of it as a fraction, the same idea as a fraction, we want to take 3 to 15 and simplify it down. So we have to find a common factor. I know that I can divide both of these numbers simply by 3. So 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. 15 divided by 3 gives me a 5. So my ratio in simplest form for A is 1 to 5. For B, it's a little bit trickier because of the fact that you have centimeters and millimeters. In order to do this correctly, you must convert both of these units into millimeters or both of these units into centimeters. And make sure that you attach the units at the end just to make sure that we have the same answer. So at this time, pause the video and see if you can do B, move on to C, move on to D. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert 50 centimeters into 50 millimeters. So 50 centimeters is the same thing as 50 millimeters because there are 10 millimeters for every one, so you have to times by 10. 260 millimeters. So now both units are the same. So simply from here we can divide it by 10 because that is a common factor. So when you reduce this down, your answer should be 5 to 6. And if you had worked and converted these 5 centimeters and converted 60 millimeters to centimeters, 66 centimeters, well, pretty much you're done there. So either way, 5 to 6 is your ratio. Now for C, I'm going to convert 4 kilometers into 4,000 meters because for every 1 kilometer there's 1,000 meters to 6,000 meters. I will simplify this by 2,000. And if it takes you multiple steps, that's fine. It's just like working with fractions. So 4,000 divided by 2,000 gives you 2. 6,000 divided by 2,000 gives you 3. Your ratio is 2 to 3. So for every 2 meters, there are 3 meters, depending on what the story is. For D, I will convert this all into pence. And the reason why I will convert the 4 pounds into pence is because that way I do not have to work with a decimal. When you're working with decimals, it makes for the problem a little bit more difficult. So 50 pence stays. And 4 pounds is the same thing as saying 400 pence. Now we need to simplify it. I will divide it simply by 50 because I know I can divide both by 50. So this will reduce down to 1 to 8. The next skill is being able to divide a certain quantity into a given ratio. So in the first situation, we have 35 students, but we want to divide them in a ratio of 5 to 2. So here's how you'd go about it. 5 to 2, now these are a part, this is one part, this is another part. So all together, you have 7, because 5 plus 2 makes 7. Now, you have another piece of information. You have 35 students in total. So you have to divide 35 students in a ratio of 5 to 2. So let's think to ourselves, 7 times what makes 35? 7 times 5, which means we have to scale this ratio up by 5. So 5 times 5 gives you 25, 2 times 5 gives you 10. So when you divide 35 students in a ratio of 5 to 2, you'd be dividing them into 25 to 10. And 25 plus 10 makes 35. So using this same idea, go ahead and complete B and C. Pause the video. So here we go. 5 to 4 adds up to 9. We have in total 27 apples to divide up into a ratio of 5 to 4. So 9 times 3 gives us 27, so we have to scale this ratio up by 3. 5 times 3 gives us 15, and 4 times 3 gives us 12. So 27 apples divided in a ratio of 5 to 4 is 15 for one person and 12 for the other. So that would be a context. Now say we have 30 oranges in the ratio of 1 to 3 to 6. I'd give 1 to Clara, I'd give 1 to Liam, and I'd give 1 to Jack, or 6 to Jack. So 1 Clara, 3 Liam, and 6 to Jack. However, we have 30 oranges. So we need to divvy up 30 oranges in this ratio. So 1 to 3 to 6 adds up to a total of 10. But in reality, we actually have 30 oranges. Times 3 in this case, because 10 times 3 makes 30, so we have to scale this up by 3. So this would make 3 to 9 to 18. So if we were to give these oranges away, Clara would get 3 oranges, Liam would get 9 oranges, and Jack would get 18 oranges. If we had a total of 30 in total. And of course, finally, ratios actually apply into word problems and everyday things that we do. So in the first problem, Carlos and Belinda share some money in the ratio of 3 to 7. Carlos receives 900 pounds. How much in total did they share? So we know this. Carlos has 900 pounds, but these two have divided money up in a ratio of 3 to 7. So let's write this out. Carlos to Belinda, and we know Carlos is 3 because his name is mentioned first, and Belinda is 7 because her name is mentioned second. 3 to 7. Now here, Carlos receives 900. So under Carlos, I'm going to write 900 pounds. So if we know Carlos receives 3 pounds for every 7 that Belinda receives, and he has a total of 900, 3 times what makes 900? 300. So we times this by 300 as well, and so we now know Belinda received 2,100 pounds. But the question is, how much in total did they share? So if we know Carlos had 900 and Belinda had 2,100, in total, they actually shared 3,000 pounds. So you have to also make sure that when you're working through these word problems that you're reading very carefully and understanding what is it that they're looking for. So at this time, pause the video, work through B and C. Clara bakes 3 chocolate cupcakes for every 4 vanilla cupcakes. So 3 chocolate cupcakes for every 4 vanilla cupcakes. If she baked 36 vanilla cupcakes, how many chocolate cupcakes did she bake? Okay, 4 times 9 makes 36, so 3 times 9 makes 27. And the question, how many chocolate cupcakes did she bake? Okay, so the answer is 27 chocolate cupcakes. And finally, C. A map has a scale of 1 to 10,000, meaning 1 centimeter on a map represents 10,000 centimeters in real life. What distance does 3.4 centimeters on a map represent in real life? So if we know that this is the case, 1 to 10,000, then this is 3.4 on a map, and this is real. Then we need to know how much this is. So we know we multiplied 1 by 3.4 in order to get 3.4. So we have to do the same thing, 10,000 times 3.4. And for those of you who still need to review how to multiply by tens, hundreds, thousands, here's a quick summary. There's 4 zeros behind 10,000. I'm going to move this decimal right here 4 spots from the left to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Anywhere you have a gap, you fill it in. So this would be 3, 4, 0, 0, 0. So this should be an answer of 34,000 centimeters in real life.